cocoa bombs. I'm actually videoing too for YouTube so that that can go on. But these silicone molds you can get at Hobby Lobby. Now these have a little depth to them and they've got the little rippled edges on them. So what I'm gonna do is I've got my glass bowl that I keep my chocolate melted in. Now if you cover this with either aluminum foil or some saran wrap, this chocolate you can keep reusing. The only time I don't reuse the chocolate that's left over is if I do peanut clusters, because I don't want the peanut oil in there and then take a chance on somebody getting an allergy to that. So this is just straight chocolate. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up another block of my almond bark, and I just get the Walmart brand almond bark, okay? So you wanna take that, open it up, and I usually take it and I crack it on my counter. So I break it into half. This didn't quite break in half, but I'll just put it in here, and I'm gonna crack this, and then I just stick it in my bowl. Now I'm gonna stick this in the microwave for a good 3 minutes and get it melting. I've got parchment paper down. That's what I'm actually gonna sit the little containers on once we get them dried. So let me go ahead and get this going. You can set it for 5, but you definitely don't want to burn your chocolate. It will burn very easily. So about 3 minutes, I take it and stop and stir it. If it's great and mostly melted, if you let it sit there for just a couple of minutes, it'll continue melting and get all your lumps out of it. So you want it really nice and smooth, because when you take your spoon and you actually put it into your pans, then you want to make sure that when you dip it into your pan, so you're going to take your spoon, you're going to stir the chocolate up, you're going to take spoonfuls, probably a couple spoonfuls, stick it in your pan, and you have to push the chocolate up so that it covers all the way around the edge. Now I do that a couple of times. When you actually take the two centers and you seal them together, you have to make sure that that chocolate is a little cooler. So you want to do that later in your process so that it does not melt your edges. So chocolate is a very, very funny thing to work with, and it's very temperature tempered. So you have to really kind of get used to working with chocolate so that you can get them to turn out perfectly every time. Now I'm going to get a hot pad to sit on the counter, because once I do the get my pan bowl out, I don't want to sit it directly on my counter so I don't break another countertop, because I just got these replaced from the freeze, so I don't want to ruin that. Now the other thing that you're going to need tonight, I'm telling you, I use these hot pads all the time. I love them. So these are the ones that I make that I sell in the Etsy shop. But they are great for everything. They're so tiny you can just grab it and get in there and get your pans. So what I've got tonight is I got some hot cocoa mix. So this is a Walmart brand. You can get the Nestle kind. I get the kind without the marshmallows, so just the regular hot cocoa. And you're going to put about 1/4 of a teaspoon in, or 1/4 of a cup in each hot cocoa bomb. And then I'll take and I'll put some little marshmallows in it. Now something else you can do is you can put like toffee bites. You can put little mini chocolate. You can put dark chocolate. You can put Reese's peanut butter chips. You can make it, I crush peppermints up, the melt-away peppermints that you can get at Sam's in the big container. I take those and unwrap them, put them in a plastic bag, and I actually crush them and then put some peppermints on them. So because I make so many different variety of the hot cocoa bombs, then I put whatever's inside of them. If I'm making a variety of them, I put different sprinkles on the top so I know what's inside of them, because I wrap them individually. I buy these bags from Walmart in the Wilton cake section, and I stick them in the little bag, wrap them individually. These fit perfectly. Then I take a piece of curling ribbon and I tie them up very, very tight, and they'll stay great in these little bags sealed up for about 3 to 4 weeks. Now you can freeze them. If you're going to freeze them, I would put them in a Ziploc bag, 2 or 3 of them in a Ziploc bag, stick them in the freezer, and they'll stay good up to that for several months. But usually most people are going to use them through the holidays anyway. So let me check my chocolate real quick. It's really, really quick here. Okay, so it's almost melted. melted. There are a few big blocks, so be very, very careful when you're moving your chocolate. Now you always, when you're messing with chocolate, a couple of tricks. First thing, you do not ever want to have water in the bottom of your glass bowl. That will cause your chocolate to burn where that water is. So you want a good bowl that has been sitting in the cabinet for a little bit, has to be glass, and you can melt this almond bark in the microwave for just about 3 minutes will do it. Now I'm gonna let this just sit here for just a couple of minutes. It's still a little lumpy, but I don't want to melt it anymore because I don't want to burn it. If you burn it, you'll feel it. When you stir it, if you feel any grit to it on the bottom, then you need to make sure that you don't use it. So be very, very careful. It's easier to stop your microwave, check in between to make sure that you're not burning it, and then adding a little bit, like a minute each time or 30 seconds to it in between so that you don't end up burning it. So that's really, it's really, really melted good. And you can see you just want it with no lumps in it. So there's a few little hard pieces still left in there of the chocolate that's not melted, but it won't take long with the temperature of that. You can see right here. So we'll let that sit there for a minute and then it'll melt right away. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this pan, my chocolate mold, and I'm gonna put the chocolate into the mold, the actual mold, okay? So what you wanna do first is you take a spoonful of chocolate, and I get like a good tablespoon size. I'm gonna set this piece out so it doesn't, since it's stiff, I wanna be able to just go with it here. Let me just make sure we're good everywhere. There's still a little bit in there. Let's see here. Just make sure what we got. I'm gonna take these bigger clumps out just because they didn't melt. If you just do one block, y'all are good with about 3 minutes. Because I had some left over in the pan is why it didn't all melt evenly. So I'm just gonna take these bigger blocks out. I've got some foil right here. Don't ever wash that chocolate down your drain, y'all, because you will clog your drain up. I found that out the hard way. So we are just stirring our chocolate, making sure we're good and even. So we're good all the way through. Now what I'm gonna do, I'll scoot this over so y'all can see. I'm gonna take my spoon, I've got my sprinkles here, let me move them out of the way. Scoot all this stuff over. Okay, so I've got my mold, and what I usually do is 2 or 3 molds at a time. That way, by the time I get through with one and I come back, these will be dry and I can pop them out. So I'll fill up about 3 molds at a time, then I'll come back, pop them out, and get them ready to go. To fill them and put the chocolate in it and finish them up. So I'm just gonna take a spoonful of chocolate and I'm gonna dip it down into the mold, okay? And I'm gonna do that till they're about halfway full, okay? Then once you get them about half full, okay, then you're gonna take it and you're gonna take your spoon and you're gonna push that chocolate up on the sides, okay? So you want all of your sides evenly, and you might need to go around them a couple of times, because what that does is when the chocolate adheres to the side of your mold, you will, you're just putting a thicker layer on it. So I usually go around it a couple of times, pushing that chocolate all up on the sides. Okay. Then it's gonna pull the rest of it in the bottom of your mold. So what you can do is you can actually dip that out and save it for your next one. Now, whatever chocolate gets on your mold, it will pop off once it's cool. So you don't really have to wash these until you're done with the molds. So like my whole season because they pop out clear unless you get some kind of a chocolate didn't melt right or it burnt or something like that. But if you wash your molds, wash them in the top of your dishwasher, which you can do easily, and then come back and make sure they are completely dry before you put chocolate into them, because the chocolate will not adhere to the sides if it's wet in any means. So you always want to make sure that it's nice and dry. Okay, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to do this whole thing, and I'm just taking it and pushing it up. Hi, Dawn. Happy Tuesday. I saw your 30-day challenge. Dawn is a health coach, and she is my cousin in Oklahoma, and she did a 30-day initiation health challenge. So that was pretty cool. So she's kicking off for 30 days. What a great time to do it through the holidays. So y'all, my kids love these hot cocoa bombs. I usually do not. I bet I've only had maybe 2 or 3 of them in all the years that I've been making them, because they are really, really rich, but the kids love them. They absolutely love them. Oh, ready to relax. All right, Miss Nancy, thanks for voting. Y'all, I'm sad to say, but I did not make it. I did not make it today. We went down to do it on the way. Right after work, I went by there. The line was like wrapped around the building, and I knew there was no way I was going to get there and get here on time. So, but Charlie voted, so it's good to be able to have the right to go and vote so that we feel like we have a say in things, you know? So, so this is what the molds look like so far, okay? And you can see it's kind of dripped on the sides. It's okay, because once they dry, all that's going to pop out. Now, there is some in the bottom that's a pool just a little bit, which is fine also. But you can take your spoon and actually dip that out. You want to make sure, too, that you don't see any of the pink shining through there. Because wherever the pink is shining through, you're going to have a thin layer of chocolate there. It's either going to break when you take it out, or it's going to leave a hole in it, and then that hole is going to drip out your hot cocoa. So you have to make sure that you're taking your chocolate all the way up to the top, and then make sure before you pop them out that there's not any pink spots showing. Now, if there are, just take your chocolate, go back through and put another layer of the chocolate around it. So take about a spoonful, go in and press it against the sides. And you're just taking it and pushing it up. Now, I've had great success with this particular mold because it is very full. You get a lot of hot cocoa in there. The people love that. It puts a lot of marshmallows in there, so the kids get to see it when you put the hot chocolate on, or the hot water or hot milk on there. It just lets those marshmallows explode. Now, there are the round ones that you traditionally see too, which you can definitely use those. Those are a little bit more trickier to seal, but you can definitely use them. So I'm just taking it in the bottom. Spilled that right out of there, but that's okay. Y'all, when this dries, it'll come right out. It just pops right off. I was trying to show y'all, but it didn't work too well. But that's okay. So I'm gonna try to make about 200 of these to take to East Texas for this weekend. It's supposed to be in the 30s up there, y'all, so they should go well. And it's time for candy to kick off anyway. Usually right about this time, everybody's wanting to know about what candies and what treats, what pies, what cakes, whatever we're doing. You know, because there's always family gatherings, people are busy. And so if you're a baker or you like to do these kinds of things, you know, this would be a great project. My grandson loves to do these. Wyatt loves to do these, but it's so funny because every time I make hot cocoa bombs, when I get ready to start putting them together, I'm always missing one half because he comes by and snags them and loves just the chocolate shells. He goes, Nanny, I want to help you make it, because he loves to eat the chocolate. So, you know, he knows. He goes, yes, we should do that on live. And I'm like, boy, We're gonna do it on live one night when you're when you're at home. Because he loves the chocolate. Loves the chocolate. Oh, really?
Look, guys, what I bought at Hobby Lobby. Isn't that beautiful?
Does it? It has light. It says it lights up.
Yes.
Oh, I got chocolate on it. Well, you know what, guys? We do have a great announcement. There's been so much happening since I've been sick. Y'all, we hit 10,000 likes. So thank you guys so very much. We're almost actually up to 1,100 likes. So we will definitely be giving a wreath away. So Charlie, think of something tonight where we can give a wreath away, because we've got a fall wreath that we've picked to be able to give out to you guys for just all the love and support. So some lucky winner's going to win that tonight. The other thing I want to say that is in my Etsy shop, because I've not had a chance to do much of anything, for tonight, let's do 15% off any item in the Etsy shop through midnight tonight. So if you find something that you like, message me before you purchase it, and I will adjust the price in there. So 15% off Etsy through midnight tonight. Okay? So just as an extra appreciation for all of y'all, everything that everybody does, liking, sharing my page, just y'all being you. So thank you guys so much. Now, if there is anything that I can ever pray for you guys for, please do not hesitate to let me know. For those of y'all, I did not even introduce myself. I am Bobby with Blessings with a Bow. We're out of League City, Texas. And that was my husband, Charlie. So he is my other half, my better half of 31 years. So he is my ride and die. So usually we are on here together. He is been shopping at Hobby Lobby, as y'all can see. We're trying to transform our house for Christmas because we're not going to be here for Thanksgiving. So we are trying to transform it as much as we can before we have to leave. So I'm going to go ahead, y'all, and start dipping into the next one. Hey, Brenda. Brenda, you need some of these hot cocoa bombs. So I'm going to go ahead and work on my next tray while that tray is drying. And usually, y'all, you can make about, so there's 12 of these per mold. So you can make 6 hot cocoa bombs out of a mold. So if you need to make a bunch at a time, then get quite a few trays, and you can be doing them while those are drying. We're just filling these up. Then when we're done, we'll come back and those will be ready to pop out and start putting together. So that's usually what I do. I think I've got probably 15 of these trays total. So what I'll do is fill them all up, and then by the time I get done, I can start at the beginning, start popping them out, putting them together, and then so I do them in stages as I go. So with my counter, it'll usually hold about 3 dozen. So that's usually what I'll put together at a time, and then I'll bag those up, set them aside, and then go on, and then we'll refill the trays. So that's how I usually do it, just kind of like an assembly line on them. Y'all, when these first came out, I was literally working all day, coming home, staying up all night and making hot cocoa bombs because they were so in demand. I mean, people were coming all hours of the night, picking these things up. It was the craziest thing. I mean, I was very blessed to have done it, but it was crazy. But it is a fun thing for your kids. Everybody loves them. They make cute little gifts. Hobby Lobby actually has some little trays right now. Some little wood containers that you can fit probably about 4 or 5 of them in there. So you could put some little grass down, put 4 or 5 different little hot cocoa bombs, wrap it into a basket, and make a beautiful gift for a teacher's gift or a office party, a secret Santa, something like that. Because who doesn't love hot cocoa? We were talking tonight before we went live that we have a big movie theater that blows up. And I said, we need to watch like Polar Express or something, have a hot cocoa bar, and invite like the little neighbor kids over with Wyatt and just sit outside and watch a movie. It would be so fun. couple more pieces that are just... So now the other thing that you have to keep in mind, y'all, is as you work through here, your chocolate cools down. Okay, so the cooler it gets, the thicker that it's gonna get. So as it gets thicker and it cools off some, then that's when it's really the best temperature to put the two pieces together. Okay, the problem is sometimes you're not always ready for it right when this is the right temperature. So I'm gonna turn my tray around here. Just always go back, make sure that there's no pink showing or whatever color of mold that you're using, because that's when you're gonna get weak spots in your mold or in your shells. Or there'll be an actual hole in there to where the hot cocoa will fall through, and you don't want that. You want it a solid piece. Hello, everybody. I should have turned on some more lights. I thought it was kind of dark in here. I was running here to get here on time, y'all. I'm sorry. Sometimes my days go longer than I expect. All right, so we're just about done with this one. So the one block of your almond bark will make you about 1.5 dozen of the hot cocoa bombs, just so that you know in reference of how much you're getting. Okay, so here's what it looks like when we're done. Okay, so we're gonna sit this over here to the side and let that cool. I'm gonna check this other one. And you always wanna make sure that you're sitting them flat, because if you twist them or they're set up like this or however you have that sitting is how that mold is gonna form. So you always wanna make sure that it's on a flat surface to where they'll even out and layer out correctly. Okay, so let me wash my hands real quick. So now I'm gonna get my hot cocoa ready. Now, what I have found is that for the hot cocoa, if you use about 1/4 cup measuring cup, so I've got just 1/4 cup, and I usually keep this with my hot cocoa the whole season, and it takes about 1/4 of it to stick into your hot cocoa bomb. Okay, and then I got some little marshmallows, so we're gonna put some of those little guys in there. Let me get my scissors up here. Okay, and then we've got that, and then I've got some sprinkles. So what I do is once I put the hot cocoa bombs together, then I'll drip some of the chocolate just across the top of it like that, making a little zigzag, and then I'll put some of the little stuff on there. Either if I'm doing peppermints, then I'll put peppermints. If I'm doing the mints, you can get all different kinds of the little chocolate chips at Walmart. You can put toffee, you can put butterscotch, all kinds of stuff in there, y'all. So just to keep that in mind if you want to add some flavoring. And then I've got my little bags that will bag up and finish them off with. So I get the hot cocoa mix with no marshmallows in it because I'm going to add the fresh marshmallows in there. Okay, so let me see if this other mold is ready. So you want to make sure that you don't see any wet spots, and you can tell, and you'll see like these pieces will just flake off. I just throw them back in the bowl because it's all good chocolate. So you can see once it's all dry, okay, that you can move this around and you can tell when it's dry. And you'll see, you won't see any of your wet spots in there, because if you start taking it out and it's not dry, then you're gonna crumble your actual shell. So then you just take the edge of it and you gently pop up from the bottom and you pop out these cute little shells, okay? So what I do is like to trim them up as I go, as they come out, so they're perfectly sectioned. So I just start lining them up and I just take them out, sit them down. Now, if you've got it thin on one side or the other, you have a tendency of that side to break. Now, if that happens, like this right here, see how it's kind of divided down right there? This will be okay because once you put the other shell on top of here, that is probably going to melt to cover up, but if it went down any more than that, you would have to remelt that shell and reuse it. Okay, so just to let y'all know, be gentle as you're taking them out, and they'll pop right out. So you push up from the bottom. Okay, so you're going to push up from the bottom, and they'll pop right out. The silicone molds work really, really well. I've actually started using these silicone molds for my car freshies that I do too. The rounded ones, I use those a lot if I'm doing little golf balls for golf ball tournaments. But I've got a set that I use of the rounded ones for that, but I don't ever use them for the food. So I don't mix the sets. So if you use it for car freshies because it has the oil and stuff in it, then I do not use it for food. So these are the only ones that I use for my hot cocoa bombs. So I'm sorry, y'all. Charlie's got the big ladder in the living room. He's trying to put up a Christmas picture. I mean, he's been working today trying to get Christmas up. All right, so there you go. So now, the one tray of them creates 12 shells. Now all this right here will pop right off, and you can flip it right back into your bowl if you want to, because you want your molds clean when you get ready to do it the next time. So I'll let this dry completely, then I'll flip this out before I actually put more chocolate into it. So I'm gonna set that over here to the side. So now the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my cocoa, and I'm gonna take 1/4 cup, and I'm just gonna put it in to my shells, okay? And I'm just gonna go through and fill them up. Now, I have to remember, because sometimes I get carried away with this. So let me set this chocolate over here. So the shells, there's 12 shells. So it's gonna make, let me switch this. It's gonna make six bombs per tray, okay? So I'm just gonna go through, fill half of them up with my cocoa. Now I fill them up enough to where they're almost to the top, because you still have that whole top shell, but you still want to have room that those little marshmallows nestle down into there. Okay, so I've got my little marshmallows, and I'm just going to put about 6 or 8 of them, maybe more. We're just going to fill those little things up. Okay, so I'm just loading them up with the marshmallows. Now, if you wanted to add little toffee bites, little mint pieces, those always go well. The peppermints, you could definitely put those on top of here as well. So this is what they look like before we seal them. We've got our shell, our hot cocoa, and then our marshmallows. Now, the other little bites that I was talking to y'all about, so I use the mint baking chips a lot. The mint fudge baking chip, this is what I use sometimes for fudge. And so you can get these little pieces, and you can actually sprinkle those on top of them. You can use the little chocolate morsels if you want to put more chocolate to it. They've got the peanut butter, they've got the little tiny M&Ms, all different kinds of stuff that you can do it. The peppermint goes over really, really good too. You can crush up those peppermints and put in the top of that. That always goes really well too. So now that our chocolate is still hot, we're going to go ahead and seal these, and I'm going to show y'all how to do that. So still have this on my hot pad. So I take the shell and I turn it over like this, and I'm going to dip it into the chocolate. These are just plain the hot cocoa bombs, and you just go around the whole edge, and then you stick it on top of each other, line up your shell, and then it seals together. Okay, so this is what you've got. All right, so let me do it again. Take your shell, flip it upside down, and you're gonna hold this as you dip it into the chocolate. You're just gonna go on the very edge of it, like this, and then you're gonna seal it to the top. Now, if you have a marshmallow sticking out, you want to make sure that they line up really, really well. This is why it's so important that you keep your shells on a good flat surface so they'll match up evenly. Okay, so same thing. Take it and dip it. Line them up. And then you can just keep going. Like I said, I usually do about 12.5 of these at a time because that's what'll fit on my small section counter here. And I always stand up and do them. I just stand a lot, y'all. And so we're going to take this, dip it, and put it on there. Now, if you do it right away, your chocolate is going to be too hot and it's going to melt. It's going to melt your shells, and then you're going to be in trouble. So the best thing to do, I know, Miss Chico, thank you so much. So the best thing to do is fill your shells, okay? Fill your shells up. Then come back, and then your chocolate will be cool enough that you can actually dip your pieces without it creating or melting them away, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my sprinkles ready. And these are some little fall sprinkles that I found. They've got little pumpkins and little leaves in there. I found these at Hobby Lobby. Not Hobby Lobby, at Walmart. And they've got little greens and pumpkins and just some little fall colored sprinkles in them. And so then I take my chocolate, and it's very drippy, right? So then I'm going to take it and I'm going to sprinkle a zigzag across the top. Now the chocolate does cool pretty quick on here. So you want to do it and then add your sprinkles. So I can do about 3 or 4, probably about 3, and safely be able to get my sprinkles on before it dries. Okay, so I'm going to come back, give it a nice little, about a quarter of a tablespoon, or you could even use a teaspoon if you wanted to. You could do that as well. Just give it a nice little sprinkle. Now, if I had put some, if I had put peppermints in here or some of the mints, I would have done my sprinkles across the top, and then I would have back and put either a peppermint or come back and did a some of the other mint in there. Just whatever I put inside of it. If it's just plain, then I'll put sprinkles. But if it's any of the extra, like the little M&Ms or the mints or anything like that, then I always add whatever it is on top there, just so that I know when I'm setting them out to sell what they are, okay? And so they turn out so cute. You'll have sprinkles everywhere if you do that. But then you let these dry really, really good, and then you'll bag them up and tie them off. So 1 block of the chocolate will make you about 18, so about 12.5 of the actual cocoa bombs. Now, if you use the rounded molds, you can definitely do that. Now, in order to seal those, what they show you to do on YouTube is actually put them in a skillet and do on like a hot skillet, and then just barely go back and forth, and it'll melt it enough to stick to the other. Miss Beverly, we're making hot cocoa bombs tonight. Okay, so Miss Eva, the hot cocoa bombs sell for $3.50 each, or I sell them for $30 or $30 a dozen. So $3.50 each, or $30 a dozen, and they come individually wrapped. So they and some people charge up to $6 to $7 a piece for them. Mine are bigger. They have more stuff in them. But they definitely, I just enjoy making them for people. So, and they're not the traditional size or the little rounded ones. So these are actually bigger. So I feel like they're really getting their money's worth. Let's see here. How long does it take to dry? It doesn't really take that long, Miss Chico. They actually, like this first one that we did is good. So I could package this up and I could stick it in the bag. And I'll show y'all. So this is what it looks like. It's got all this is little chocolate pieces, so it melts when you put it in your hot water or your hot milk. I like mine personally with milk better. The other thing is when you're packaging these, y'all, make sure that your hands are good, because this chocolate actually has oil in it, so you can tell, and it puts like little fingerprints on there. So I'm very particular about when I'm bagging these, because I want it to look like a finished product, like it came out of an actual bakery. So I didn't wash my hands in between, but before I would actually bag them up, I would wash my hands real good. I'm going to show y'all just to show you, but I will definitely throw this one, the bag, away. So I take it in there, bag it up, take curling ribbon, wrap it as tight as I can to this so there's not much air in there so it'll stay fresher. Tie this off really, really tight with a curling ribbon, and then I curl the ends of it, and then I put them in a bag and sell them. Now, the other thing I want to tell you guys, you cannot leave these in a car if it's going to be hot, because they're going to melt. It's chocolate. It's going to melt. So, Miss Cecilia, I can send them. I have shipped them before. I'll have to weigh them and let you know what it'll be to ship them. Okay, but yes, I can ship them. I have shipped them before. What I do is I put them in a plastic container for cupcakes, like a 24 pack of cupcakes. And it's got the hard kind of case around it, and then it goes in between bubble wrap, and then it goes into soft shells. But it has to be cooler weather before I can ship them, because they will melt. Okay, so we have to wait till a little bit closer to the holidays, till Christmas, till y'all are getting cooler weather. Once it gets down to about 30 to 40 degrees, then I feel safe to ship them. But the last people got them, they said they were perfectly fine. But I haven't shipped but one shipment, and they said they got theirs. That was somewhere in Indiana, I believe. So it was going to a cold territory. But just letting them sit in a warehouse or something, or in the shipping trucks, you know, it's just too much. Oh, it's raining there. We're supposed to have 30. It's supposed to be like in the 30s at Elkhart this weekend. So, y'all, I freeze all the time anyway. I'm going to freeze to death. But it's going to be good. It's going to be fun. So this is how you make hot cocoa bombs. So I just wanted to be able to share with you guys. A lot of people have been asking for them. It's that time of season. Once that cooler weather hits, people want them so badly. So it's definitely something. Now, once this chocolate dries, you can definitely reheat it. But like I said, be very, very careful that you can smell it if you're burning your chocolate. If you smell the burnt chocolate, do not use that batch. Get you another block, start with a new bowl, and start over. You can melt this in the microwave to take one of your wax or your spoons, one of these silicone things and spatulas, and clear your bowl out as much as you can before you stick it in the dishwasher. The chocolate can go, once you clean out your bowl and get it as clean as possible, you can stick it into the dishwasher. But just to let y'all know, it's going to leave like a brown film on your other stuff. So clean your bowl as good as you can before you actually put it in your dishwasher. Yes, Miss Beverly, I will be more than happy to post this. I want to show you guys too. I don't, Miss Nancy, I don't put a list on the actual, I don't put little ties on each bag. What I do is, like, if I'm going to make this a peppermint, then when I sprinkle my chocolate on the top, I'll put a piece of peppermint on the top. So that tells me that it's peppermint. And then when I set them up on a booth, I have them separated. So I'll have I have these little crates with old little antique looking crates. And I put them in there and I separate them per different flavors. So people can just pick and choose what they want. And Miss Kim, they'll actually go, you want a bigger cup, okay? So you want a bigger cup to sit them in. And then I like them better myself with milk. A lot of people drink them with water, but I like the warm milk. Just warm it on the stove to like a boil, like almost, like not quite boiling, but hot enough that you can pour it over it and it'll melt. Once it starts melting, then all that marshmallows just pop up and it just melts that chocolate, and the kids just ooh and ah over it. It's so much fun for them and they love it. I do want to show y'all really quick what Wyatt made this week, and I am going to post this. So one night he came home and he wanted to do a project, a craft project. So we did a pom-pom Christmas tree, and he wanted to put his stars all over it. But this is also a fun project for the kids. So I'm just going to take pictures of step by step on how to do this. with instructions so that if you want to do a Christmas tree with your kids, that y'all can do that. We were gonna go live, but y'all, my table is a mess right now because we're transforming everything for Christmas. And so I knew I could do this up on the countertop without y'all seeing my whole house. But once everything's done, I'll show y'all all my stuff set up. So we definitely love this time of year. Oh, you're so welcome, Miss Nancy. You're so very welcome. I know Miss Rosemary, he loves to do little crafts and stuff. So I'm going to say bye to YouTube. I'm going to turn them off. Thank you, YouTube. I'll be posting this very shortly. Y'all have a blessed day. So I'm